Welcome to the Advanced Freelancing Podcast. Every week, you'll hear strategies for building your online service-based business your way. And now, here's your host, veteran freelancer, author, and TEDx speaker, Laura Briggs.
My guest on today's show is writer Bianca Scott. She's the CEO of BusyB Writing and received an undergraduate degree from Huntingdon College and graduate degree from the University of South Alabama. She started her career based on her communication studies major and got a job at a small architecture firm in Atlanta. Although she spent 4 years as a marketing specialist, her passion has always been writing. In 2016, she received a tip on how she could monetize her hobby by helping others who lacked professional or creative writing skills, and the rest is history. Since beginning her business, she has been rated as a top pro by Thumbtack and has helped over 150 people with their writing and book publishing projects. Hey everyone, I'm here with another episode of Advanced Freelancing, and my guest today is Bianca. She has a really unique story and lots of different cool things that we could talk about. So welcome to the show, Bianca. Why don't you tell the listeners who you are and what kind of freelance service you offer and how long you've been doing it?
Sure. Thanks, Laura. So again, my name is Bianca, and I have been doing this since 2016. I grew up in Alabama, and I now live in Atlanta, Georgia. Got my degree from the University of South Alabama, and I came out here to begin a career as a marketing specialist at an architecture firm. So while I was there, I got introduced to the prospect of freelancing. I had no idea that writing could be lucrative. It's just always been something that I've always loved to do. I did it for fun. I just did it just because, right? Or, people ask me, hey, do you mind taking a look at this and tell me if it sounds good? I just did it. I didn't think anything of it. And then my friend was like, hey, did you know that you could actually get paid to do this? I'm like, no, I had no idea. So that's what started the freelancing for me, because he introduced me to Upwork, and Upwork is actually a freelancing service that's what people go for. Like, there are clients automatically who look for certain services. So that's why he introduced me to it, because I wouldn't have had to necessarily look for clients. I just went to where the clients were already looking for people like me, right?
Yeah.
So
and I did very much the same thing when I got started, because you don't feel completely comfortable yet in cold pitching your services. And it's so much easier when people are already ready to hire, and you can kind of just go to them and say like, hey, this is my background. You should hire me. It kind of eliminates a whole process out of the marketing for sure. So you started on Upwork. Did you stay mostly there, or were you marketing in other places too?
Definitely started on Upwork. So for the first, I want to say 3 years, it was all Upwork. The very first job I got was to do this edit a girl's paper. She paid me $15 to edit her paper, and she was in India or something like that. So that was the very first job I got. I want to say maybe 3 weeks after I signed up. And then from there, it went to writing a 100-word article or a 250-word article. And then as I got more and more of those small clients and got my reputation up, then that brought in the larger clients as far as, oh, well, I see that you did good work with this person. They gave an excellent review with you. Would you be interested in doing something a little bit longer? So now we go from making $15 to $20 per project to $100 per project. And from there, it literally just stemmed, because the bigger projects, of course, pay more. So instead of doing a 100-word article, now I'm writing a 10,000-word book. So for the first 3 years, I depended strictly on nothing but Upwork. And with Upwork, they charge a fee, right? So I'm always, I had always been trying to think of other things I could do, because I want to keep as much of my money as possible. So that's whenever I got introduced to Thumbtack. And then with Thumbtack, you still pay, but you only pay for leads. So a lead for writing, for instance, can be anywhere from $5 to $15. So instead of having to pay 20% of my earnings to Upwork, I'm only having to pay $5 to $15 for a lead. And then you only pay for the leads if the lead is serious about hiring you, which is one thing I can appreciate about Thumbtack. So, for example, if someone is shopping, right, and they're reaching out to maybe 10 or 15 different people, and you send them an estimate and they never respond back to you, you don't pay for that lead. And that's why I moved away from Upwork completely and rely strictly on Thumbtack, because number one, the fee is significantly less. And number two, the clients are more likely to hire you because they're the ones that reach out to you directly. Because with Upwork, you have to bid on jobs more so and kind of hope that they look at your cover letter and your stuff. But also with Upwork, I feel like it's more competitive, but not in a good way. It's more competitive because people are willing to do the work for very, very low prices. And people don't necessarily go there for quality. They just go for who's going to get this job done as quickly as possible, kind of similar to your Fiverr. So with that being said, that's why I moved towards Thumbtack.
Okay, so my perspective on Thumbtack is I used it when we bought a house and we needed to hire a lot of contractors to do little projects. But my understanding was that it was mostly in a specific geographic area. So do you get clients requesting to work with you from all over the country, or is it specifically within your zip code?
I actually get clients all over the country. So right now, I have someone who I got from Thumbtack. I have someone in Detroit. I have someone in California. I have a couple of people in Texas, and I have 3 people in Georgia. So it's everywhere. It's not just limited to a particular geographic location.
Is there a way when you set your account up to make sure that the site knows that, you're not like a lawn mowing company that's only going to mow in a specific radius? Do you set it up? Because I noticed like when I used it, the first thing that it asked me as a person who was hiring contractors was my zip code. And so I'm just sort of curious about that as a way to like clarify to the state or the site, hey, I actually want to work with clients all over the country because I can since I'm virtual.
Gotcha. So you do have to put in your zip code, like you say, but then you can go back in and then you can say, but I'm willing to work in other zip codes too. So that spreads your radius out to maybe 150 miles. And believe it or not, because I asked these clients, I said, how were you even able to find me whenever I'm not anywhere near you? And they say that they don't go directly through Thumbtack. So those keywords that you use to describe your company on your company's website or your freelancing website, that's going to be the thing that's going to pull it up on Thumbtack for you. Because they would tell me they would look up writer near me. And Thumbtack will come up first, but my profile would be one of the first ones that comes up. So, and that just comes from being able to make sure that you use the proper keywords so that people will be able to find you no matter where they are.
That's a great point. Well, one of the biggest challenges for a lot of people, I know you mentioned this being an issue with Upwork as well, is when you're on a site like that so heavily relies on reviews and you're new to the site and you don't have any reviews. Do you have any tips for freelancers who are just starting to use Thumbtack and want to be able to kind of stand out amidst the competition? Like I imagine you probably have dozens of reviews on Thumbtack, but what about somebody who's brand new starting out? Is there anything they can do to sort of get over that hurdle of not having feedback from past clients?
Sure. So the first thing you want to do is actually recruit your friends and family members to do your service for them. Let them be your test subjects so that the review is real. It's a real review and it's something that other people can see. So actually my first 3 or 4 reviews on Thumbtack were friends and family. I did something for them that they needed me to do. So one person, I think I created a flyer for her. I edited someone else's book and I wrote an article for someone else. So do these, pro bono for your friends and family and have them leave an honest review about you on the different websites. So you can still generate reviews even if you're brand new. They don't have to be from a customer that you don't know, because your first customers can easily be your friends and your family.
That is so interesting because I have never heard of anyone else using this as a marketing strategy for freelancing. So
Hmm.
it sounds like you started growing your freelance business while you were still working in a day job. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that is another hot topic with a lot of freelancers is once you start this side hustle, you have this decision to make about, am I going to scale it up and try to leave my 9 to 5, or am I always going to keep it as a side hustle? Do you have tips for freelancers who are looking to bring their side hustle up to being their full-time income?
Yes. So I would definitely say to go ahead and start making the plans as soon as possible, because just like with this whole pandemic, a lot of people got laid off and had no idea that it was going to happen. Now, for me, the decision was not made for me per se. Um, I was in a position that I was unhappy in, so I had to leave immediately. And because I had already been working and doing my freelancing, I just decided to just go for it. So the best advice I would say is to, number one, get as many positive reviews as possible. Do as much work as you can to get people to vouch for you. And with your reviews, they don't even have to all be because one person can leave 4 or 5 reviews for you. So let me explain what I mean by that. If you do one job for a person, say someone does a job for me, I do a job for someone on Thumbtack. They can leave a review on Thumbtack. They can leave a review on my Facebook page. They can shout me out on their Instagram page. They can shout me out on the Better Business Bureau. They can even do a video recording shouting me out so that I can use it for my own social media for testimonials. So do that now as much as you can for every single client. Do that now and get them to leave multiple reviews of the same service in several places, so that whenever you are ready to go into it full time, you already have something to fall back on. People can already see that you've been doing this, that you're already good at this, and they have different places that they can see that you've been advertising yourself. So make yourself known as much as you can with the different platforms that you have available.
Are you curious about how to get started working as a search engine optimization writer? Always loved writing, but don't understand the technical elements? No worries, you can easily teach yourself. And this podcast episode is sponsored by the Advanced SEO Writing for Freelancers and Bloggers course. You can learn more all about how to choose keywords, how to pick topics for your clients, how to complete a content strategy audit, and how to write a fully optimized SEO piece of content writing that you can sell for $50 and up. Check out tinyurl.com/advanced SEO writer to learn more about this course and to enroll. That is a really good point because not all of your clients are going to find you on the same website. So having it spread out also helps people who might not look at Thumbtack. Maybe they're looking at Facebook, or maybe they're checking out your Upwork profile, but not your LinkedIn profile. So if you have a really happy client, then give them the opportunity to give you feedback in different ways. So you've been able to scale your business quite a bit since getting started. What do you think have been some of the secrets that have helped you scale and build on this early success?
The biggest thing I would say is to get a plan. That plan is so important. Already have in your mind exactly what it is that you want to offer and exactly who it is that you want to serve. The more specific that you are with that, the better able you will be able to get the right type of client. So let me give you a prime example. I do writing. I can write anything. I write articles, I write copy, I write books. If it involves writing, Bianca can pretty much do it, right? But I don't necessarily advertise all of those services at one time. I have that ideal service, that ideal client. So for me, that is authors. My preference is to work with authors and business owners. So every time I pitch myself in a way that says, I serve authors, I serve business owners. Even though I can do a lot of other things, including marketing, because remember, I was a marketing specialist. you still want to be specific about what you do and who you serve. And as soon as I was able to do that, I started making a lot more money. Because whenever you're trying to advertise and market yourself to everybody at once, then people don't really know, okay, so what exactly do you do? You can't just say, oh, I do everything, because that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear you say that you can help them. They want to see on your social media sites, on your website, and everything that you do, they want to see that you serve them. Now, in saying that, you might be like, oh, well, aren't I limiting myself? No, you're not. Because even though everything that I do surrounds authors and entrepreneurs, but more heavily towards authors, I still get people asking me, well, do you do this? Because that's just, I'm honestly not sure why it works that way, but that's what I've noticed. Even though all of my marketing is geared towards authors and book publishing, I still get people asking me, well, can you do a business plan? Well, can you do a script? Well, can you do copywriting? Just because you have to be consistent, and people will just come to you naturally. And that, I will say, that's another big thing for me, is being consistent. So like showing up on your social media is not enough to just post on social media. You have to actually engage with your audience. Showing up at, even if once everything simmers down, showing up to different networking events, just showing your face so that at least on a local level, people can know who you are and what you do. You just have to be very consistent about what you do and who you serve. And that's going to make everything just go up. Everything's just going to take off from there.
Yes, the more that you are focused on a niche and targeted, the easier it is for your clients to feel as though you're talking to just them. So I'm curious to know, do a lot of the projects that you're working with on Thumbtack or elsewhere, are they one-time projects or are these retainer clients?
So I would say it's half and half, because sometimes it's only a one-time thing. Usually somebody has like, oh, I have this book that I want to get out. Okay, that's going to be a one-time thing. However, if ever they need anything else, they come back to me again. So that's a good thing. As long as you do the good customer service and you do good work, they tend to come back again. But most of the time up front, it's just a one-time thing.
And then as far as the payment that's being managed through Thumbtack, is it something like they pay in advance? Are they paying you directly? I know you mentioned that you pay by the lead, so I'm trying to kind of make a distinguishing factors here between sites like Upwork, which function pretty similarly to like Freelancer and Guru in different places. How does payment work differently on a site like Thumbtack?
So honestly, I don't accept payments through Thumbtack. As far as I know, there's not a way to accept payments directly through Thumbtack. You have to have your own payment system, whether that be PayPal, or with me, I use Wave, WAVE, or if you have some other type of way to invoice your clients and get your money. But Thumbtack itself, I do not believe that it has a payment system. So with that being said, because everything is being taken care of myself, I do have contracts in place. So I have people pay a deposit, and then that deposit is deducted from their total cost of services. And their services are typically, like, the money is not due until after the services are complete. That's how I set my things up. But I know some people who they require payment up front, like your graphic designers. They tend to require payment up front because people can be, a little difficult when it comes to graphic design, because they know what they like. So many graphic designers they want their money up front. For me, I just, from an ethical standpoint, I don't feel comfortable taking all of your money up front until I can produce something for you. So that's why I have everything set up the way that I have it.
Right. And it sounds like one of the benefits of using a site like Thumbtack is that you do have more control over your pricing and as far as how you're getting paid. Because, if you go with a different site that's more of a traditional freelance job board, they are going to take a percentage of it. You might also have to pay to be a member of it. It sounds like with Thumbtack, it's about you paying specifically for those leads to show up to you. And then from there, it's about like you saying, hey, I want to get paid in this particular way. This is the cost and this is the deposit. Are there any downsides to using a site like this that you found in your experience?
With Thumbtack, no. Not really. Well, yeah, no, there aren't really any downsides, I would say, because you pay per lead and you know that you're paying per lead. I guess the only thing is not knowing for sure if your lead is going to hire you. So you have to make sure that you budget appropriately each month. So what Thumbtack does is you have a budget, like a set budget. And for writing, it has to be a minimum of $20 a week. And they will send you leads until you reach that budget. Now, depending on how many people that lead has contacted, that's what's going to determine how much the lead costs you. So, for example, if someone contacts 6 people, including me, then that lead is only going to cost me about $3 or $4. Now, if they only contact me and no one else, that's a $15 lead. So now if I have a $20 budget, my budget is almost up for the week. And there's no guarantee that they're going to even use me, even though they only contacted me. It's a pretty good chance, but there's no guarantee because they may not want to pay your price. So you risk the chance of you being up on your leads as far as the budget is concerned and you not actually getting any leads that week.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Do you have any tips for kind of monitoring that to make sure that you're kind of in a sweet spot? Like, do you recommend that freelancers start out with that lower minimum weekly bid and then build up, or do something different?
I absolutely recommend when you're first starting out to go with a lower one, because you need to see what it is that clients want to know in order to commit to you. Because remember, like I said, most of them are reaching out to at least between 2 and 4 people, usually is how many people that they reach out to at a time. So you need to kind of gauge, okay, what do I need to say to them in order for them to hire me? And if you're starting out with a $100 budget, you could easily be throwing $100 down the drain if you don't know how to manage your clients before you even get them. So the biggest tip that I would say, if you're going to use Thumbtack, is definitely start with a lower amount, number one. Number two, whenever you respond back to a lead, go ahead and tell them how much it's going to be. And the reason being is because whenever you do that, they can see, without having to necessarily click on the message, they can see how much it's going to be. And if they see that it's too high or outside of their range, they won't even respond back. And whenever a lead does not respond back to you, you get your money back for that lead. So that's one thing that I've learned is in that reply message, give them as much information as possible so that they will not respond to you unless they're absolutely interested. And I found that doing that has helped me to save more money. Another thing that I've seen other people do is they give you they will just say, call me at this number for more information. They won't give them anything. And the reason they do that is so that, again, the customer will only see, okay, I need to call this number. They won't even bother to open the whole message once they see that. And they'll just call, talk to them on the phone, and then you go from there. And again, you as the freelancer does not have to pay for the lead as long as the customer is not actually opening it. So you want to be as concise and to the point as possible whenever you give that initial response to your lead, so that if they're not serious about you, or if they're shopping around, or if their budget is not fitting in with how much you're going to charge, then they won't even click it and you don't have to worry about paying for the lead.
I love that. These are such great tips. Now, where can some of my listeners go to learn a little bit more about you and the kinds of services that you offer?
They can go to www.busybwriting.com. That's busy, B, the letter B, writing.com. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook at BusyB Writing as well.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on my show and sharing a totally new method of marketing with me. I'm so excited to release this episode to my audience. So I just want to thank you so much for your time, Bianca.